Welcome to another Super Deluxe Edition unboxing video. Today we're going to take a look at George Michael's 1996 album, Older. Now this was George's third solo album after disbanding Wham in the mid-80s. What we're going to do, we're going to take a look at the vinyl reissue, which I've got holding in my hands now, and the box set edition and the Japanese 2 CD edition, and we're going to look back at some other editions and compare and contrast. Now this was released on vinyl in the 90s. It was a single vinyl record in a single sleeve. Sony have chosen to expand this to 2 LPs for the reissue, and Older on vinyl is one of the big reasons people are excited about this reissue, because it's extremely hard to get hold of an original. The prices are ludicrous, really, so they're talking £600, £700, £800, that kind of thing. So it's very welcome. Sony have decided to put out multiple coloured versions of Older. This is the white vinyl version, which is an Amazon UK exclusive. There might be other white vinyl exclusives in other territories, but for the UK, Amazon have the exclusive on white vinyl. First impressions, looks and feels quite nice. The cover photo, sort of reasonable, I think. I wouldn't say it's sort of outstanding. I think this original cover photo is actually a crop of an original, and this has been cropped even further for Upper, for example. I think it looks okay. There's no, I thought they might do maybe a bit of spot varnish on the eye, on the colour of the eye there, or some sort of textured sleeve, or laminated or something, but they haven't really done that. It's a decent quality sleeve without being sort of outstanding. When it's not a tip-on sleeve, for example. On the other hand, it's not that expensive to buy this double vinyl record. It's about £30, so I think you have to balance it out. So this is the gatefold image. So as I say, the original wasn't a gatefold. The original vinyl record in a sleeve looked like this, lyrics on one side and that on the other. That was what the original looked like. Of course, there's 2 vinyl records now. So this is the second vinyl. Not overly sure about that photo, it looks okay. But there's more lyrics here, so they've spread the lyrics out over 2 printed inners instead of putting them all on one, which is how it was previously. So as I say, this is the white vinyl version. Does look good on white vinyl, I think. But there was red, there was green, there was a blue one, I think. I haven't had a chance to play this yet, so I can't comment on the quality of the vinyl pressing. This was a digital recording originally, so that's worth bearing in mind. So even the original vinyl was never all analog or anything like that. That's record 2. Of course, this is just the album. There's no bonus material or anything like that. In theory, it should sound better if it's spread across 2 vinyl records. There's the spine there. So that's Older as a 2 LP set. Now we'll look at the box set in a minute, but this is the Japanese Blue Spec CD2 double disc edition of the Older reissue. And what we have to remind ourselves here is that when Sony reissued Faith, there was a box set, but there was also a 2 CD edition, which is actually very nice. You've got a outer slipcase, case bound book, packaging, quite a nice book here. In fact, this wasn't a 2 CD. This was a 2 CD and a DVD. So this was actually a very nice edition indeed. Then with Listen Without Prejudice, they did a 2 CD set. There was the box set, which I think was 3 CDs and a DVD. But there was a 2 CD set. Same kind of thing. It had the album remastered. Then it had MTV Unplugged, which we'll talk about a bit later, and the Nile Rodgers version of Fantasy. So that was a 2 CD set. Now, for some reason, with Older, Sony have chosen not to do a 2 CD set or even a 3 CD set. There's no cheap version on CD at all. So you just have the double vinyl and the £140 box set, which we're about to look at. It's a complete mystery as to why they've done that. It doesn't really make any sense whatsoever. But they have, in Japan, come up with this 2 CD version. You can see it has a slightly different version of the front cover. And what you actually get is you get the album older on CD1. CD2 is called Rare Tracks and Remixes. And this is like a selection from the what is 4 bonus discs in the box set, because the box set has 5 CDs in it. It does include the non-album tracks, You Know That I Want To and Safe. And then there's just a selection of remixes, including the I'm Your Man remix or re-recorded version. You know, Fast Love, Star People, Radio Edit, Jesus as Child, both edits of that. Spinning the Wheel, Extended Club Mix, etc. I mean, I don't know why there isn't a UK version of this. It's packaged in a kind of thicker than normal jewel case. It might be nicer if it was more of a mini LP vinyl replica. But yeah, so you get the album there, and there's the rare tracks and remixes. The jewel case is quite big, as this is quite a thick booklet. It's actually 2 booklets in one. So you get, this is the English booklet, which is fairly thin, to be honest. And then there's a Japanese booklet here, which has all the lyrics in English and Japan, including Safe and You Know That I Want To. There's some other stuff at the beginning here, but it's all in Japanese. In fact, early orderers of this get this slightly, I think in Japan they call it a mega jacket or something. It's basically just a print of the cover, which, as you can see, is slightly larger than CD size. So there's the Obi strip that goes with that. There's nothing on this 2 CD set that isn't in the box set, in case you're wondering. But if you to buy the box set, you're having to buy 3 vinyl records as well as all those CDs. So if you don't want to do that, and you've got all the CD singles from the original era anyway, then this could be a good solution. Right, let's talk about the box set. I'm sure you've all been waiting patiently to see the box set. This has a sort of bespoke white design, which is very much the opposite of most of the older artwork. There's no hype sticker, it just comes with this spec sheet which kind of sits on the top like that. That just gives you the overview. I mean, this image is very familiar from what was online. But what you're basically getting is the album remastered across 2 LPs, which we've already seen separately. You get Upper, which is the bonus disc that was released on the 1997 2 CD special edition. And then you get both of those again on CD. This is where it gets a bit. And then you get 3 CDs of mixes and B-sides. And there is a book with the story of Older, which we'll have a look at. But you are repeating vinyl and CD in the box set. And there's 3 extra CDs of, it says previously unreleased or commercially available mixes. I don't think there is anything previously unreleased. There are some promo mixes, I think. But I think that's been established on the various SD comments that some of the things they've been saying are previously unreleased aren't actually previously unreleased. Anyway, let's open it up and take a look inside. The outer box is very nicely done, sort of white. You've got the silver type there, which is got a special finish on it. There's the spine. And then at the back it says George Michael. Very sort of minimalist and very nicely done. This is actually an outer slipcase, and then there's an inner box here. This, of course, is a 12-inch by 12-inch package. That's spot varnished, that picture, which you'll see there. And then inside is all the actual contents. So first up is the double vinyl record. We've already looked at this. It's exactly the same as what was individually released, except this is a black vinyl version. There is no other difference. It does have some prints. The prints are just sitting inside the gatefold vinyl. These are exclusive to the box set. Now these are very nicely done. They're sort of printed on high quality textured paper, so quite frameable, I think. But they're not numbered or signed by the photographer or anything like that. It's just 3 prints. So this record is black vinyl. Okay, skipping past the actual album, this is the only place you can get the album, which was called Upper, on vinyl in this box set. Now, here's a quick reminder of the origins of Upper. Basically, they'd released so many singles from the album, they decided to do a bit of a re-promotion at the end. Can't remember where this was in the timeline. I think it must have been around You Have Been Loved, sort of maybe just before that or just after it, but it's just a re-promotion of the record, which was already about a year old at that point. So Upper included a couple of new songs that were issued by George on the Spinning the Wheel CD single. So the songs are You Know That I Want To and Safe. They're the two new songs. And then it's just a selection of remixes from some of the singles that come out. So Fast Love, Spinning the Wheel, Star People, and The Strangest Thing. So the only issue I have with Upper is it's just a kind of cobbled together bonus disc of what was at the time previously released material. There's nothing that special about it. It's only a couple of new songs and a few remixes. But in the box set, it's kind of treated like some kind of important, addition to the canon. They make a big deal about saying this is the first time it's been available on vinyl. Well, that's true, but really it's just a load of remixes and a couple of B-sides. Also, the covers kind of, it's a bit grainy and it's a bit, this was already a crop of the original photo, which has now been sort of enlarged for vinyl. So I don't think it looks particularly good. This is black vinyl, of course. So they're the 3 vinyl records. Now this is the only place to get Upper on vinyl. This is the book which we'll look at in a minute, but let's just finish off with the actual discs. There's 5 CDs here. So you get Older and Upper again. I have to say, repeating these seems... there's 2 problems with this box set. One is putting CDs and vinyl together, which is a big no-no, especially when they're not available in other configurations. And the other thing is, no one needs Upper on a CD again, because I reckon most fans have probably got it. Putting that to one side, you get the album and Upper, and then you get 3 extra discs of remixes, effectively. Apart from the promo mixes, everything on here was kind of on a CD single somewhere along the line. There are a lot of CD singles. There's kind of 2 singles for most of the 6. Not all of them, but most of the 6 singles. There's another video on SD you can have a look at. Examples of some of the content is, let's have a look at it. There's a special radio edit of Jesus to a Child. And there's another radio edit of Jesus to a Child. I haven't really worked out what the difference between those two are. Both of those are on the Japanese bonus CD. Lots of the singles were remixed, of course, when they came out. So Star People was remixed. There's also, there's live versions, live gospel version of One More Try, unplugged version of Star People, etc., etc. There's the instrumental version of Older, which was on the Older single. So, there's a lot of content, but there's nothing kind of unreleased, really. So that's a little bit disappointing. And this is where we come to the book. So let's have a look at the book. So this box set is the only place you get the story of Older, okay? So it's not anywhere else. If you buy the vinyl, they don't give it to you. So they've sort of kept it for here. And it's a combination of previous quotes from George and new contributions from people that worked on the record, like Chris Porter or John Douglas. So it starts off going on about Jesus to a Child, and lots of interesting content. But when they talk about working on the record, this is where I find it very frustrating, because they talk about working on the album, Chris Porter, David Austin, etc. And they mention things that should really be in this box set. So I'll give you an example. They talk about Fast Love. Okay, so this is what it says at the introduction. A slower incarnation of Fast Love, known as the summertime version, had already been finished, which George was considering releasing as a single. So there you go. So there was a totally different version of Fast Love that was slower. It was finished, and so therefore it was produced, polished, So much so that George was considering releasing it as a single. Well, where is that version of Fast Love? Why isn't it in the box set? I mean, the archival releases are supposed to be a kind of exploration of a record. You know, choices that were made, choices that weren't made, that kind of thing. So why isn't this in the box set? It really should be. And that goes for the whole thing in general. There's nothing unreleased. There's no work in progress version. There's no alternative versions. There's absolutely nothing, because George Michael's estate have the view that, you know, if he didn't want it released at the time, it's never going to be released, and that's it. So effectively, what that means is there's never going to be anything from George Michael's solo archive unreleased that will ever be issued. So that's pretty kind of depressing state of affairs. The other thing is the opposite is true, because there's a bit here. Yeah, look, they go on about MTV Unplugged. So MTV Unplugged happened after the album came out. And, you know, why isn't it part of this package? Well, the reason it's not part of the package is because it was incorrectly put as part of the Listen Without Prejudice reissue. So MTV Unplugged, which the story of Older acknowledges was a big part of the sort of campaign, was put on Listen Without Prejudice, which was always nonsensical why they did that. No one ever got a proper explanation as to why, other than maybe George just wanted it there. But that decision has basically made this reissue. It's basically made 2 reissues in a row wrong, because MTV Unplugged should be with Older, and MTV Unplugged shouldn't have been with Listen Without Prejudice. So it's a bit of a balls up, if you ask me. The book's good. It is quite interesting reading this. I mean, it's a little bit kind of, isn't George amazing, every single paragraph, but I suppose you'd expect that. It feels a bit sort of promotional, if you like, instead of a kind of dispassionate exploration of the period. So I think the basic problem with this box set is, if you're a George Michael collector and you're a George Michael fan, you've got everything already. So do you want to buy it again for £140? Its appeal lies purely in the object, in wanting to have a nice big box set of Older with a few art prints and some records and some CDs, but actually it doesn't really give you anything over and above the basics in terms of what you've already got. I mean, we know there's an Atmos mix of Older, which is on Apple Music. That really should have been part of this box set, and it's been excluded. So for the money, it doesn't really feel like great value, it has to be said. But in terms of sort of presentation, you can't really fault the presentation. Sony have done a very nice job in terms of putting together a 3 LP and a 5 CD set. I don't know why. There's something about George Michael and reissues that they're never really that satisfying. I don't know why. I think it's to do with George Michael when he was alive, and then that attitude is carried over to his estate. There's just a kind of an ironclad grip on the archive. They're not willing to release anything that hasn't already been commercially released. So you kind of think, well, what's the point in doing a box set then? I mean, demos and alternate versions are the sort of cornerstones of most box sets. All of that stuff is absent from Older. I hope you've enjoyed this unboxing video, this close look at some of the formats of the Older reissue. If you have, why not subscribe to the Super Deluxe Edition YouTube channel for more great physical music unboxed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.